is right at the core. And what you're talking about here is theft of your material, theft of people steal my archives. And I kind of think that it's become, first of all, it has become tragically expected by our younger people and in fact, most people now, that they're going to be lied to. What a sad commentary. They expect to be lied to. Yeah. And then people just blow off accountability. I mean, that's media and Hollywood and all the rest of it. People get away with this stuff. But not only
do we face continuously, and then you elect the next fellow who's going to do it to you all over again.
Yep.
However, let me point something out in one of your stories earlier, in terms of observation and making conclusions. Mm-hmm. The link between this woman with the birth certificate suit
tapes.
And the husband who is connected to Novartis is very thin. I mean, it's like right there in your face. Usually, the powers that be and their minions are a little bit more circumspect.
Yeah.
So this again is yet another indication that there's desperation and that time is short and it won't matter. All they need delay is, for a few more months, basically, is what they're doing.
What they're doing, you're right, is they're agitating, and it's an old cliched word, but misdirecting, but they're keeping people as off balance as they can.
Sure, emotional and mental control. Yeah. That's why I love Aikido, because it's all about centering and keeping yourself under control, even as the world whirls around you.
That's antithetical to what they're doing through the media, to our entire culture. I mean, for people, I feel so sorry for them, even those who really want to know, trying to wade into the internet.
Yeah.
Oh,
the shock of it all. The horror, yes. And it takes you so long to absorb even a little bit of it, and then you start thinking, well, okay, I've really digested that.
I think I've got it, and what I try and tell people, and maybe you would agree or disagree with this mental image, but as soon as you folks think you have it, take 10 steps further back and look again.
Yeah.
Keep backing off.
The higher views really are, I think, much more suited for the general populace than getting down into the detail. At some point, what you really need to do in reading all of the stuff about the terrible lies that are being told by
don't get bogged down in the micro. Stay away.
But just choose like an area, right? And take that and go down and satisfy yourself that, this guy is he's telling me the truth. Those guys are lying to me, and his details are correct. Then choose another area and so on. And then when you understand that there are people out there like Jeff Rense who bring you the truth, and they're in fact telling you the correct details, then you can get to the point where you can start believing their headlines and move on. And once you're at that stage, then you don't really feel like you're drowning in the minutia of it all.
That has taken a lot of good warriors out of the fight.
Yes, you can get trapped. It is a mental trap on the path of enlightenment of burrowing down to the final grain, thinking that there's an ultimate truth that lies in detail. And there may well be for some small number of individuals, but for the majority of us, once you just have satisfied that the detail is okay and pertinent here and there and so on, then you build up your trust in your own judgment, and you can take that step back, as Jeff says, and get a broader view. And pretty soon you're starting to look at that whole forest, and you can see what they're doing on all the various different levels, and not just looking at some of the individual trees.
Your good advice. What does the data, Clif, say? We got 3 minutes. Are you seeing anything about 2012 manufactured, contrived, or otherwise?
I'm seeing a lot of stuff about 2012 not manufactured, unless it's you think about the lies that are being told now to obscure what's going on as a part of the manufacturing process. But the powers that be are definitely afraid of the breakdown of infrastructure due to the solar issues, the solar explosions, or whatever they're going to call them, seem to be very much a pertinent thing we need to understand. And it's now come out, for instance, that the solar data being reported is off by a factor of 24.
24?
24 times. So some of the expectations of this being a reasonably quiet solar cycle were based on information that, whether it was doctored or not, has led us to a very false belief. And yet no one's taking any action whatsoever. We still have a couple of years left, and it might be theoretically possible to produce some hardened satellites and get them up there, but it sure looks like global communications is going to go sometime in 2011 to 2012.
Fried.
Exactly.
They're trying to put in, I'm sure right now, some kind of what they think will be a survivable infrastructure of CNC communication, whether it be microwaves or whatever. But
Well, there's a lot of this ELF radiation through the ground, which would be theoretically undisturbed, but I don't know about that component as well, because whatever it is, the sun is not the cause of this. The sun is just being symptomatic, and it is our understanding that we're in a giant area of space that we're going to go through for a number of more years that is squeezing on the sun, and the sun's just basically reacting, as are all the other planets. So we need to take that big step again and look way out there and say, okay, that, even the ELF radiation and some of the stuff the Navy is doing don't appear to be that secure, given the idea of a mega magnetic cycle that we might be in. And we're calling it the big squeeze in our data, because basically everything around in the whole solar system is being squeezed by magnetic fields that are dampening the individual magnetic fields of the planets and causing all of these other issues.
And the individual magnetic fields of people.
I was just going to say, and not only at the planetary level, but also down at the populace and even animals and plants are being affected.
Well, that's
now
why
we have a huge hole in the magnetosphere around the Earth.
Yeah. I sleep on very powerful negative polarity magnetic pads on the bed because it puts we'll talk. It puts you in the same magnetic field that the Earth was involved with 10,000 years ago, which was very strong. 4 Gauss. It's only 4/10 of a Gauss now. I'm rounding things off, but we've lost 90% of the Earth's natural magnetic field. When you get into a negative polarity, that's the healing polarity of the body as well. So when you sleep overnight, you repair at double and sometimes treble the normal rate. I'll give you some data on this.
Yeah, interesting. But let's also examine that, because I don't think that there were actually... The data suggests that the magnetic field of the Earth is weaker now, but it may be that it's not weaker. It may just simply be that it's being overpowered.
Could be. It's a good point.
And if that's the case, then a lot of our measurements have to be taken with a grain of salt in terms of how we're actually approaching things, not relating to the sleeping on magnets per se. But I've got a shielded and multiply grounded roof, and I think that really helps as well.
Sure does. Yeah. I think you'd like the concept of negative polarity magnetic sleep. It's very healing, very interesting. I've been using it for almost 20 years. You can lay down in 20 minutes and get completely bioelectrically refocused, reorganized, refreshed, get back up. It's remarkable.
Sounds great, yeah.
That is. All right. Thank you, Clif, my friend. My best to George, please, and maybe we'll talk to you next month.